Good evening to you. Mark Sudduth, HurricaneTrack.com here. Going to go over the latest advisory about Tropical Storm Eta. The 10 o'clock advisory used to be the 11 o'clock advisory, but now because of standard time is the 10 o'clock advisory. I'm down in Key West. I know you can't see him, but Brent is right over there. Say hi, Brent.
Hi, I'm still on Atlantic Standard Time.
That's right.
EST.
Yeah, Brent and I looking over everything. He's over there just kind of hanging out. We're going to run to the gas station after this and get some bottled water, just so you know. There you go. Now you know what we're up to. And so let me tell you what Eta is up to, according to the National Hurricane Center. Our buddy, he's a friend of mine anyway, Daniel Brown, is the forecaster tonight. And I thought, let's just go over the discussion. Good way to just kind of make things quick. Daniel Brown is the forecaster. I know him personally. Not that that changes my opinion or anything of the discussion, but some of these guys I've gotten to know over the years, and he is one of them. And here's what he has to say, starting with the first paragraph, which kind of gives you the current status of the structure of the system. And Dan says, although deep convection has waned near the center of Eta since this afternoon, radar imagery continues to show a ring of low-topped convection around the center, with some deep convection returning over the northeastern portion of the circulation. Doppler radar velocities of 64 to 68 knots, about a mile up, and recent NOAA reconnaissance aircraft observations support maintaining the 55-knot initial intensity. The aircraft reported a minimum pressure of 993. So this first paragraph tells us that, and we can see this on satellite, that Eta is convectively challenged. That's one good way to put it. And this is the center of circulation here. Duh, very easy to see. And the center of circulation is probably just right in here, just off the keys there, the middle keys. And this is that low-topped convection that forecaster Brown is talking about. And what does that mean? Well, the convection is the thunderstorms, and they go up, usually. Well, they do. If they're thunderstorms, they do go up, but how high up they go into the atmosphere determines how strong they are, generally speaking, that upward motion. And with Eta here, there's not a lot of that upward motion. And we can see that the cloud top temperatures, for example, right in here, where you get these blacks that show up, these black colors, that would correlate to cloud top temperatures minus 60 to minus 70 degrees Celsius. But then down here near the center, the eye wall, if you will, those cloud top temperatures minus 50, minus 60 Celsius, so they're not as cold. And so they're not as high in the atmosphere, and so they're not as intense. That's what that means. And so if we go back to the discussion from forecaster Brown, we look at the next paragraph about the overall structure going forward. And so basically he's saying here, since Eta has a fairly large radius of maximum winds, so it's a large, big old wind machine, and a dry slot that is wrapped into the inner core, it appears that any short-term strengthening should be slow. As a result, the new National Hurricane Center intensity forecast calls for a little less strengthening until Eta moves into the southeastern Gulf in about a day or so. And regardless of whether or not it becomes a hurricane near the Keys, there is little difference in impacts between 55 to 60 knots or a 65-knot hurricane. After 24 hours, Eta is forecast to move over warmer waters in the southeastern Gulf. The vertical shear is forecast to decrease. That means conditions become more favorable. And this is expected to allow for some strengthening, and Eta is forecast to regain hurricane strength by Tuesday. Then, gradual weakening is predicted between, right here is where I'm at, 72 to 120 hours, so 3 to 5 days, due to increasing shear and the entrainment of dry air. And their updated intensity forecasting forecast reasoning right here is based on the ship's LGEM models during the first couple of days, and in good agreement with the Hurricane Forecast Improvement Project. I think that's what HFIP stands for. Corrected consensus model thereafter. So bottom line, this is good news right here, that Eta should not become too strong near population areas, but there will be impacts. We know that. We're already seeing those, and I'll show you those in a minute. The last paragraph that forecaster Brown goes into is about the steering. Eta has turned northwestward this evening around the north side of a cutoff low located just south of western Cuba. The tropical cyclone, that's Eta. Ooh, the power flickered. And it caused me to get off track. The tropical cyclone should turn west-northwestward to westward overnight in a southwestward motion. Southwestward again, wow, is expected on Tuesday as Eta pivots around the upper low. So the two of those things, and this is kind of cool, will bring me back on for a demonstration. Power's flickering again. That's just the heck. So you have Eta over here, you got this upper level low near Cuba, and they're going around each other. You know, kind of like that Fujiwara that we sometimes hear about, but that's not really what this is. But they are kind of pivoting around each other, you know, kind of slingshot Eta back down to the south and west over time, and that'll get it out into the southeast Gulf. That upper low will fill and weaken, the ridge will build in, Eta slows down, trough comes in, picks it up, and that is what forecaster Brown talks about at the end here, that the models that maintain Eta as a deeper, stronger system show a faster northeastward motion later on, whereas the models that weaken Eta slow its northward progression. And the bottom line here, and it's not written in this, but if we've been looking at the models today, and if you looked at them, I know I have, the global models, etc., we know that this is going to be an interesting and confusing forecast over the next few days. But the bottom line, these next couple of days, out of the Keys, turning southwest towards Cuba again, into the open Gulf, probably strengthening, and, you know, there will be impacts. There's already impacts. We can look at the satellite view again, these strong bands coming in here with this little bit of upward motion over here, creating very heavy rainfall for portions of eastern Florida and southeast Florida. The onshore flow as a whole, piling up the water against the coastline here, creating some beach erosion, nasty surf conditions, and so forth. And there's the center of Eta, like we talked about. Not much deep thunderstorms around it at all, which is good news. So a nuisance, menacing storm, as I've said for the last few days, but not terribly potent. So that's good. The radar, very helpful. You get an idea here. Special marine warning in this box that I'm outlining as these showers and thunderstorms move onshore. Some banding in here that you can see. And as this rotates on through and eventually gets to where we are, myself, Brent, and our colleague Mike Farrow, we are all over here in Key West. 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning, it should start to pick up, get rather windy, and some of those bands could bring maybe some lightning, who knows, and some effects. And as such, we have set up some cameras out here, part of our crowd-funded project, the old Hurricane Landfall Project, as we call it, and this is what we do with that funding. We've got a bunch of slots here. We've put out 5 cameras for this. Here's the old vehicle cam parked at the hotel here. Then we have Vero Beach, way up there north of where we are. And it's not too bad out there. You see the old palm tree blowing there, no big deal. Not too bad overall. And then down at Boca, this camera will probably die overnight tonight. It only had a 40-hour battery pack in it. And not much in terms of rough surf. Well, it's rough, but not much surge. I mean, here's all the beach. And then you get into that grape, what was it called? Grape plant or whatever. Let me see if I still have that email from Jay earlier. Sea grape. That's what it's called. Sea grape. I know it's hard to see because it's dark, but this is all dense vegetation called sea grape. And my email talking to me. But the overall wind and wave action has not been too bad, which you'd expect in a storm like this. But we set up these cameras to monitor what's going on. This is over on Roosevelt, down here in the Keys, looking back towards the northeast, or maybe the east. It's hard to tell because Roosevelt goes all around most of Key West, as I've learned today. We got a camera over here in Big Pine Key, where, hey, look, the power went out there, Brent. The street light's out. It was on earlier.
That's not good.
And now it's out. We get Dorothy to go over there and
coming our way.
Right, we should get Dorothy. We met a woman that works at the Chamber of Commerce down in Key West. Dorothy and her husband live there in Big Pine Key. Maybe the light turns on and off to save energy. Who knows? It's like that Ford F-150 I'm driving. It turns off when you're not using it. And then the other camera that we have just across from Jack Niles. Sounds like we got all these sponsors, but we don't. I'm just telling. We met this guy. He is the dealer. You can kind of see the dealership there. It's all lit up. Jack Niles, we were in his parking lot setting up the camera here on this side of Roosevelt, which I think is the north side of Key West. And you got that north wind coming through here, trying to pile up the water against the bulkhead. But Mr. Niles came through, and what was he driving, an Escalade?
Yes.
Yeah, and he said hello, and it was very helpful, offering us to use the showroom, etc. If we needed it. I'm still learning that. You and Mike were giving me heck about that. Why even bother? I try to be correct. But everybody's just been so nice. A couple of guys came by, and I do want to mention this, seriously. I know I'm supposed to do an update, but it's people that watch this, people that support this, and it's people that matter. If people didn't watch this, I wouldn't make them. A guy named, what was it, Milan, and his brother, I think that was his name, Milan, stopped by. They saw the stream from YouTube, this camera right here, the vehicle cam. Right now it's in the hotel parking lot. But they knew where it was. Their dad said, hey, they're over at Niles, dealership, setting up a camera or whatever. And these two guys came out, Milan and his brother. And I'm so sorry I don't remember what your brother's name was. But it really meant a lot. It's just neat. I know some people say it's kind of creepy, kind of get stalked or whatever. Not really. It's not like I'm, George Clooney or somebody. It's celebrity status. But in the weather world, it is neat, honestly, and it was really cool. I appreciate you coming by to say hello. That means you're paying attention. That means your dad was paying attention, and that's the bottom line. I want to make sure you're paying attention, trying to get me to go bye-bye. And you know what's going on as we track something like Ada, or earlier in the year, very dangerous Laura, or a few years ago, with Michael, or whatever the case may be. It's the people. You guys make it the reason why I do this. And, I met Brent because of YouTube and this whole crowdfunding thing, and we're all in it together. So thanks for coming by and saying hello to us in the parking lot of Jack Niles Sales and Service, the GM dealer in Key West. It was really cool, seriously. All right, so there you go. Not much change overall. Stay, indoors tomorrow if you can, off the roads. That's the main thing, especially South Florida. Oh, my goodness. And this will pass by tomorrow afternoon, and hopefully the week ahead for the peninsula of Florida and the Keys will be fantastic. Ada will go in the Gulf, hopefully just dwindle away over time, and that will be that for the 2020 hurricane season. If only saying it would make it so. Right? Right. As much as I enjoy doing my work, we're tired. We're done with it just like you are. But we'll see, right? It is 2020 for a few more weeks. All right, that's it for me for tonight. I'll have an update for you in the morning. We will leave the YouTube feed running. I think, actually, it might run out. That's a whole other issue, but whatever. We'll start another one tomorrow. It only goes for 12 hours, then it shuts off automatically. It's kind of a bummer, but we'll work on that. You guys have a good rest of your evening. As always, thanks for tuning in and listening to me and watching what I've got to say. I am Mark Sudduth, HurricaneTrack.com. We'll have more for you tomorrow.